I'll be very pleased to coordinate this project. I'm George Malandrakis from Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. And in this common effort, we are partners with two universities from Portugal, the University of Aveiro and University of Alberta, who host us the last 5 days. And we also have the partner, the University of Siena from Italy, and the non-governmental organization. No, better to sit here to avoid more complications. And we also have the Global Footprint Network, who has developed and introduced worldwide the concept of ecological footprint. The project is funded by the European Union and under the Erasmus Plus framework and Key Action 2 for Partnership in Higher Education. As I said before, we are at the last year of the project. We have already produced educational material for all academic community, meaning students, professors, administrative staff. And now we are going to present you this day the second, Murphy again, the second major output of our project, which is the online calculator for the ecological footprint of universities. So this is for now. Thank you and welcome. And now I pass the floor to the rector.
Good morning, everybody. Finally, we managed to get this working. Sorry about this. I'll try not to take too much of your time. And let me start by saying hi to everybody, the ones that are here in the room and the ones that are following us online as well. It's a pleasure to have you all here and to host this event, this third multiplier event in the context of this research project, as it has been mentioned before. And I will be presenting a few data and give you a few some ideas of the work that we are doing here at Universidade Aberta. So I will start a few things about university, some facts and figures, the networks that we are involved, not only within this area of work, but as an university online, some research programs that we have been developing, and obviously about sustainability, which is some of the issues that brought us here. So Universidade Aberta is it's an open distance higher education institution that works fully online. Universidade was created in 1988, and then technology was not as it is today. So we started by being a traditional open university with all script materials and multimedia also. About 15 years ago, we moved and we developed a pedagogical model, a virtual pedagogical model, and all our courses, pedagogical offers, first, second, and third cycle, I mean, bachelor, master's, and PhD, all the courses were moved to e-learning, and nowadays we work fully online. We have we teach mainly, I would say 99% of our courses are in Portuguese. We use the Portuguese language, but we've been also doing some short courses or massive open online courses, some Moocs. We're doing it in English also, but most of our courses and formal degrees are in Portuguese language. As I mentioned, we have, within the formal courses, we have 11 bachelors, we have 20 master courses, and 11, I think it's 11 PhD courses. And I'm not sure, my colleagues may correct me. But I think it's not 12, but it's 11 PhD courses. We also have some postgraduate courses, which they don't lead to a degree. And within the lifelong learning area, which is a department that we also have, we developed quite a lot of short courses, short learning courses, with all of them with the ECTS, between 1 to 12 ECTS. So it's short courses dedicated or devoted to competencies acquisition. We're moving towards the micro credentials also, which is something that within the European Union, it's very much in these days, it's one of the buzzwords that we are having, and we also offering some micro credential courses within also some research projects, international projects, and within the European University Alliances that we also have. So we're moving towards that direction also. Altogether, and these are numbers from the academic year 2021, we have about 7,000 students in the formal courses. As I mentioned, the long life learning department has about, it varies, but it's anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 students that we have within the long life learning department within the 1 year. So altogether, we have about 10,000 students as a Universidade Aberta, as an open institution. Although the number of students, we're not a huge university, but Portugal, it's not a huge country also. So 10,000 students, it's quite a good size university for Portugal. We're not a big university as far as the teaching staff is concerned. So as you can see here, we have 144 teachers, all with a PhD degree. But we have the support of quite a few tutors in the bachelor courses, masters and PhD, no, but bachelor courses, we work also with tutors. And all the activities that we develop are supported by about 200 professionals between administrative staff, instructional designers, IT people, multimedia production. So we have 190 professionals. So as you can see, altogether, we're less than 400 people, which is not a huge university. The structure, it's a decentralized structure of the university. This is the headquarters, is the main building. In Lisbon, we have another building where are the mainly the administrative staff and also the teachers here. I'm sure you had the opportunity already to see a little bit of the building. It's quite nice. It's beautiful building with all this, especially this first floor with the tiles and all that. But you also had the opportunity to see that there are some structural. We're not in danger. Everything is safe. Everything is excellent. But there are some issues here, some structural issues, so we cannot fully occupy the building. So here it's mainly the library, the rectory, and some of the administrative staff, but not. We cannot all fit here. So we have another building in Lisbon where are the teachers. And then we also have in Coimbra what we call a delegation, and also in Porto we have a delegation. The buildings are showed here in this picture. Both of them are quite nice buildings, quite different, but both of them quite nice. And we also have local learning centers which are spread around the country. At the moment we have around 20 local learning centers, which are very small structures with the main purpose of interacting with the local communities and identifying the needs, the training needs, or what they look for the university. We belong to quite a few associations and different networking institutions, most of them or all of them within the e-learning network, the European Distance e-learning network, the European Association of Distance Teaching Universities, EUA, and also within the Universities of Portuguese language. We also belong to those associations. The projects that we develop, not only research projects, but also within the institutional development, we have agreements with different countries from Europe, Africa, America, Asia as well. And within the Erasmus Plus program, we have quite a few agreements. And this project falls in that category of the Erasmus Plus program. We developed quite a few in different areas, because we have our courses, they go from humanities to IT, mathematics, and also environmental sciences, which is this department, and the group that is working here belongs to that department. Research centers, not being a big university, we don't have huge research centers at university. So we have three research centers, but all our teachers, all our academic staff, they belong to different research centers from different universities and outside Universidade Aberta. These are the ones. We have a study center on migrations and intercultural relationships, and this one was the first center in this area, in this scientific area, created in Portugal. So it's quite an old one, and it's very well established within the Portuguese system. We have a center which is called Laboratory of Distance Education and E-Learning, which makes all the sense. And obviously this is the big center, research center at university. We also have now, although it's in the process of being accredited within the financial agencies, the Center of Global Studies. It's not accredited yet, but it's doing its work. Now, within the sustainability area, all our, when we move to online courses and working fully online, one of the degrees that was developed and established then and accredited, and which was 2007, 2007, so that's when it started, 2007, 2008. It was the Bachelor on Environmental Sciences. And since then, we have been doing we have the Bachelor, and then a few years later, we created the Master course, and a few years later, we created the doctoral program. And since then, we have been very committed to sustainability, now with the objectives of sustainable development, previously with the previous agenda also. So this is an area that we have been very committed, and we try to develop the work both within the courses, the courses that are part of the programs, but also in the way that we behave within the university and within the campus, although we don't have a physical campus. So we try to integrate different rankings, different projects, research projects or other type of projects. And that's the work we've been mainly doing. And some, just for as an example, we started, I believe it was a few years ago, and this is some work that was done within the stars and the different dimensions. This is just an analysis in the different dimensions that are part of the stars, this ranking, which is the academia and research, the involvement with the community, planning and administration, operations and innovation. Academia and research is the courses and all the research centers that we do. Involvement with the community, with us, because our students are all outside the campus and online, but here we tended to involve very much the centers, the local learning centers that I mentioned, and they have the connections with the local communities. So here the involvement with the community is much, it's a broader concept than just the community of the Universidad. Planning and administration obviously is what we do, the operations, the way we work, and all the improvements, as well as the innovation and leadership. So this is just an example of the analysis that we tend to do on the way we work concerning these areas. Recently, and I would say in the past 5 years or so, maybe a bit longer, we started to integrate all the sustainability concepts within the strategic plan, directorship strategic plan. The last one, which is when I started, 2019, 2023, that's when we started creating some small structures on a work group, because we are a small universities, we cannot go for big structures, but we created a working group that deals with the sustainability issues and with the sustainable campus Universidade Aberta, which tends to analyze all the different areas of work that we do and does the analysis, monitors the data, defines some indicators, and we tend to introduce some improvements on the things we do. For the future, what obviously we're going to go towards this line of work. Try to reinforce the human resources working on these areas, which is something really needed. But more than that, we will try, and this is a commitment that I assumed within the strategic plan, is to incorporate the sustainability concepts in all the areas, not only on the academia and on the courses, but all the areas within the university, creating a more awareness of our workers, the administrative staff, the teachers as well, and not these sustainable issues is something to do with the environmental sciences. Usually that's the way it's looked at. So here we're trying to integrate and being part and developing some short courses, promoting some Moocs that will be available to all the students, to all the courses, and in I wouldn't say near future, but maybe medium, try to have mandatory courses within all the other programs concerning these issues, and not making sure that people understand that this is not just an environmental issue, but it's more a social responsibility issue that that we have to incorporate. So these are the lines that we try to follow up in the near future. Most of all, and that's the work that's been done in the past couple of years, which were not very easy, obviously, as we all know, but is introducing and making sure that people know what sustainability means. And it's not just a buzzword, but has some meaningful aspects, and increasing sustainability literacy within the university. I hope I didn't take too much, and thank you very much for being here and for listening, and hope you have a good time for the rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll move on directly to the next keynote speaker. Whoever wants to add any question, just put it on the chat, please. So after this great presentation, when we have this overview what Universidad is doing within sustainability in higher education, we will move to Dr. Giulia Sonetti, which is a researcher at Center of Environment and Sustainability Research at Nova University of Lisbon, but she's an Italian, is a European and international person, which is she's been a passion along the last years for the transdisciplinary, transformative, and education for sustainability. In particular, she's been researching in the field of implementation at higher education institutions, and she will talk briefly about sustainability in higher education institutions, challenges, and opportunities. So please, Giulia, the floor is yours. You are somewhere outside.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for the invitation. So I have just 10 minutes, and I will give a short presentation about higher education institution and sustainability. What are the challenges and opportunities? And I decided to go bold and offer you the opportunity to see all the challenges and opportunities for the change in a higher education institution towards sustainability, looking at a mirror. So, of course, you don't have a mirror right now in your pocket, but I hope you can enjoy maybe just a few seconds of an inward look toward yourself. A good way to look in a mirror without a mirror is to realize that you are breathing now. I gift you with a few seconds of silence, so don't have just 10 minutes, but I invite you to breathe and feel your feet on the ground, realize your point of contact with the chair. And I invite you to spend some seconds thinking about what have been your transformative moment when you decided to pursue sustainability in higher education, whether you are a student, a professor, a rector, an administrator, a secretary. If you feel like you had a moment of transformative changing mindset, think about it for some seconds. I will start sharing my transformative moments towards sustainability. And the first has been exactly when I was the head of the sustainability office in Politecnico di Torino, and we had to embed and evaluate how much we were pursuing the SDGs in our first, second, and third mission. And my face was exactly like this one, because it's hard to analyze data and to build a framework for sustainability. You know that even after the EUSTEP project, how difficult it is to find out the right person to talk with, the right indicator to show, to demonstrate something. And actually, these are smiley faces, but we were tense enough when we had to categorize all our scientific production according to SDGs and try to analyze this with artificial intelligence, because I was in a polytechnic university, so they were keen on using artificial intelligence to assess everything. And again, I used memes to to show how I was feeling when we had to improve this level of SDG embeddedness in university, because I realized that that was not the point. I mean, the appraisal and the evaluation in general are really something that really can make us more aware, but then we have to do something else. They're just an excuse to make a difference between expectation and reality. My second transformative moment then was to visit an exhibition in Madrid by Ignacia Bailly, that is a conceptual artist. This work is called Listado, so it's a list of things, of number, of words, of names of people, of years. I was particularly hit by this piece of work because I realized that, yeah, I mean, we produce number indicators and criteria, but they are valid as far as we can follow up on them and as far as we can give a meaning to that, not just because we want to be the greenest university, but because we want to change a bit the mindset in which the future students will face the world challenges today that are much more complex than a few numbers on a chart. This is also part of this exhibition. This is called Imaginary Landscape. The title is like that. And this is also nice because you see everyone in this frame sees what he wants to see, or he or she wants to see. So somebody here we see a greenhouse effect because we are scientists particularly engaged in this scientific discussion, or somebody here will see just a particular kind of blue, or somebody here will see the saudade of a person. So words and numbers are just a meaning to communicate something, but I guess we have now a difficult to implement sustainability in higher education, not because we don't know how to do it or what to do, but because there is a disconnection between our collective consciousness and our collective action. And that's why I will introduce now my third transformative moment towards sustainability. That is my participation in a European project that is a cross-section called Intrepid. That ended a few years ago, and the question was, how can we reimagine ourselves? Because before reimagining how to renovate sustainability implication in higher education institutions. So how to imagine a new place for questioning and expose students to the real world, how we can activate the maximum leverage potential of humans in this place, how we can transform our knowledge, our learning practices, how we can imagine a new role for a teacher, a new place to envision together a future, and to discover what are those leverage points to system change. I love this quote by Plate that says that science is at its best when it dares to be human. And that's why my transformative moments are really tied to human beings I met. That, for instance, Olivia Bina, that is in Lisbon in the Institute of Social Science, or Marta Varanda, she's a professor at ESEC, School in Lisbon of Economic and Management. They were the principal investigator of this cross-section, and they were exactly the person embedding the principle of less conformity, less homogeneity, less uniformity in university, but striving for more diversity, plurality, and welcoming the license to fail. That is also very important in sustainability. I will conclude my talk with the nth transformative moment I have now every day when teaching. And of course, being aware of those enablers of sustainability in higher education that really refers to ourselves. That's why I put the mirror at the very beginning of my talk. Because although we are aware of all the barriers and challenges that the sustainability framework and the ecological footprint will always make emerge, we still have the opportunity to compose our class, like, for instance, this is a pic of last Friday lecture I had with the student in a master in Barcelona of urban resilience, in which we do first 10 minutes of meditation, then we do some improv theater exercise to move the body and create a bit an ignition for the mind to be open to the new thing we are learning today. We also try to embed theory U methodology for coaching, circle, and mutual support and solidarity. And then of course, we have also lectures from special guests from not only university, but also the fields of knowledge that can be activated in a city when facing a specific urban challenge for sustainability. We also use the city to go to an Institute of Art and Culture nearby that was exposing some piece of art about empathy. That is another precious skill in sustainability for academia. Or we also joined some class of yoga to understand how to take care of ourselves now before taking care of others and nature and students and family and everything. So here I conclude my talk, asking you what are your leverage points to activate a bit of change towards sustainability in academia, starting from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Giulia, for your short but very insight information you gave us, and also make us think in this real, sometimes crazy world we are living on. So I hope you can wait until the session for questions. I know that you are within classes, but let's hope you can join just after. So we'll move directly to the section 2, where we'll talk about measuring universities' ecological footprint. And I pass the floor to the moderator, so Dr. Alexandro Galli, to move. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sandra, and welcome to everyone from our side as well. Okay, so as George has mentioned this morning, the idea of the EUSTEPs project is to somehow works on two areas that are related to the implementation of sustainability within universities. On one side, increasing the teaching of sustainability, but on the other side also increasing the practicing of sustainability. Giulia mentioned the presence of gap in consciousness, but I would say there are also gaps in knowledge. So we took a license to try not to fail, to pick up on Giulia's words, and we tried to develop a tool basically to allow university to shift from not knowing to knowing, and starting like a process of a journey related to knowing and measuring sustainability. So without waiting or spending more time, I would like to give the floor to Serena, my colleague, just to present the process that we did to develop this calculator.
Yes, thank you, and good morning, everyone. So now I'm going to show you the online tool that we have built in the EUSTEP project. But before, I'd like also to mention very quickly the process that we have followed to build the tool and the theoretical framework that we have built. So of course, the process took quite several months, and the effort and works from all the partners of the EUSTEP project. And we started it by doing first a review of what is currently existing in terms of footprint application to the universities. And what we have observed is that it does not exist an online tool for everyone until now. But although there are several, quite few studies applying the footprint analysis to the universities. The point is that such studies are based on slightly different methodologies, thus resulting in including different parameters across the universities. And thus the outcomes are not really comparable. What we wanted to have instead with the EUSTEP project was to have an online tool available for everyone and based on a standardized approach to measure the footprint. So we have consulted with several experts also outside the partnership to develop the calculator and to see what was feasible and acceptable to include in the tool. And we also have run a background research for the conversion factors and the parameters to be included in the tool. So we came up with the theoretical frameworks on which the tool is built, and this theoretical framework basically is based. So the ecological footprint is calculated on two main areas pertaining to the university. In this slide, you see on the left side a green box that include all those activities and the operations upon which the universities has a direct control on it. So let's say that the administrative offices, the central body of the university, direct manage and organize and have an influence on such operations. So it includes the infrastructures pertaining to the universities and the utilities. So the energy consumption, the water use and waste management, the physical buildings of the universities and the cleaning services, as well as some university community actions, so related to done on behalf of the university, meaning the travels, the missions that the academics do on behalf of the universities, the materials that are purchased by the university, and also the meals, so the food that is offered in the university. Let me also mention that we, in this green area of the direct control of administration, we have also included, we have foreseen some future areas, other areas, but I'm not going into that because they are not implemented in the calculator yet. So the other big area for which the ecological footprint is also calculated is include those actions that are not under the direct control of the universities. So as you can understand, you see here, these actions and fields are the commuting. As you can understand, the commuting to go to and from the university depends on the individual choices and the possibilities of each person within the university, as well as the energy consumption and the food consumption outside the borders of the university, let's say. So we have included in the calculator also this area of indirect action. Okay, but let's go into the online tool. And first of all, where it lives. So it lives in the EUSTEPs website, eusteps.eu. You go into the menu, the resources, and into the University Footprint Calculator menu. So you land on this page. And here you can click on calculate your university ecological footprint. So now if the technologies assist us, we are landing on the University Ecological Footprint Calculator. This is the landing page. There are some few information about the EUSTEPs and the partners that contribute to to it. And to start the calculator, we can, so to use the calculator, we can either took it without any registration, but this is not how we recommend to use it, because it does not allow you to have several important features while using the calculator, like for instance, saving the input data or saving your results. So we highly recommend to use it by logging in, so creating a login, creating an account. Of course, we have preloaded an account, so I'm going to enter into that one. Okay, I'm typing the. Okay, then typing the. Let's see. Okay, now once we are logged in, this is the home page of the calculator. As you can see, here there is a map that is mimic the theoretical framework that was presenting before. So on the left side, we have like this bigger map representing the university campus, and this is so this bigger map represents the direct part, the direct responsibility of the university, with all the actions and the operations and sectors included in it. While a bit detached on the right, the smaller map, it includes the three fields of the indirect control fields of the university. So to start the calculator, we first need to enter data in two main sections that are the general information. As you can see here on the top, there is a bar that still has all those sections, okay, where to enter data. But first we need to enter data in this field, which is the general information, requires the general information of the university, the country, the name, the type of campus, the year of reference for which data are entered, the annual publications, the annual graduation, and the total funds received each year. Now, of course, we have preloaded some data because we have no time to go through it. And this also allow me to present you this the dashboard. So here, once we have created a profile, we have a dashboard here with several settings for the accounts. And we also have here in my calculation all the attempts that each user can take on the calculator. So here we have preloaded some of the data of the pilot universities that are within the EUSTEP. So I will take the University of Aristotle, and we'll present I will show the calculator through the data. So as I was saying, the first section to be compiled is the general information, and then the information about the university population, meaning the number of students and the number of teacher or staff, of teacher and administrative staff of the university. So once the data are entered in each field of the calculator, so in each page of the calculator, we need to save the page to save the entered data, unless they are lost, the data is lost. So once these two first sections are compiled, all other sections appear in the calculator, and the users can decide in whatever order they can compile the calculator. And this So one can enter into each section by clicking on this top menu. And here again, here this part here, the longer menus is about the direct control of the university, and this smaller, the detached one is about the indirect. The calculators so requires all these sections to be compiled, but it also allows to compile only the sections for which the university has the data. While doing that, it also allows you, if you go on the bottom of the page, it also allows you to show the result of each single section. On the bottom of each at the bottom of each page, you see it's the results. The partial results are visualized. The first one is the categories footprint, so the footprint value of the section we are in, and the total footprint of all the section compiled until until this point. And this bar on the very bottom shows the share of each section on out of the total footprint. So these are all the sections to compile, and several data. Depending on the section, data can be compiled either for the total of the whole university, or one can add details depending on the different infrastructure of the universities. And this infrastructure are for the buildings, and for instance, the teaching and the administrative buildings, dormitories, cafeterias, or others. And so we can, every time save the page. Then here we have the indirect part. Indirect part can be compiled into modes in two tiers. So tier one is the automatic calculation. It's when the university have not data, specific data, while tier two is when the university is managed to collect from a sample of students and staff the specific data, and then so the calculation is quite more specific and detailed. And on this last button is the result page. So different types of results are visualized. Here is the total value. I'm not going into the values in detail because we are going in a moment showing you the preliminary results from the pilot university. But so basically, so here we have some values of efficiency of the total footprint of the university with the graph showing the difference between the direct responsibility and indirect responsibility. And then we go into detailed results of direct and indirect results, showing each, showing detailed results of each section. This is basically it. I will pass the floor again to Ale. Let me just say that currently the calculator is available in English only, but the three additional languages of the project, so Portuguese, Italian, and Greek, will be implemented in the next few days. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Sere. I think there is something very important that Serena mentioned at the beginning, which was trying to find the right balance in between all the inputs we would like to measure that contributes to the footprint of a university, of an institution, and on the other side, the reality, the feasibility of collecting data and what is really available. So I think the entire process was driven by this trade-off in between what we will ideally love to cover, to monitor, and what we are in reality able to monitor because of data existence or data gaps. So now I would like to invite very briefly each one of the 4 partner universities to share their experience on the data collection. So I will ask Professor George Malandrakis from Aristotle University to start and just give us a brief overview of the context of your university, the data collection work you did, and then what was the easiest and the most difficult data to collect. Thanks.
Thank you for the presentation of the online version of the calculator. We are 4 different universities, and in the size and the way that we work. We have one distant university, the Alberta University, which is the host, and all the other 3 universities are face-to-face universities. But even between these 3 universities, we have huge differences. For example, the Aristotle University that I represent, it's a huge one. We have more than 70,000 students and more than 2,000 faculty members who are running in at least 3 different campuses in at least 2 different cities. So the effort of trying to collect data, it's an enormous. However, we had a detailed briefing of the rector, who was very excited with the effort, and he was supporting to us, and he also gave us a written agreement and permission to access all administrative offices of the university in order to get the data, and that was very helpful. Until now, we have conducted 11 administrative offices and at least 15 persons in various offices in order to get the data. And we realized that we have to conduct 3 or 5 more to get the whole set of data. The most difficult part of data was about food. That was mainly because we have a subcontractor who is running a student's restaurant. So it was not under the exactly the direct responsibility of the university. The surprisingly easiest collection of data was about transportation. Although at the beginning we were thinking that was the most difficult, it was the easiest one because the Erasmus office and the research committee that we collected the data were highly computerized. And we just asked them, they made an export from their server and they provide us the data. That was it. So now I have to pass the floor to Massimo from...
It is on. Hello, everybody. I'm Massimo, and I'm a PhD student of environmental science, and I manage the gathering data of the University of Siena with my colleague. The University of Siena is a small Italian campus in the central Italy, with 15 departments and around 18,000 students. For the data collection and processing, we took between 2 and 3 months. And we contact about 10 offices, internal and external to the university. At least 1 for data category. The easiest data to collect were the energy data. And the most difficult were all type of waste data collection category. Our surprise was that the very little time between the emails sent to the offices and the answers with the data we need. That is probably due to the fact everybody we contacted were previously aware about our scope because they participate to a similar multiplier event like this one. So they know exactly the objective of the data request. I give the floor to Masa.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Mahsa from Universidad de Alberta. I'm going to explain about the experience of the data collection in our university. As already explained by our rector, the Universidad de Alberta is the single distance learning university in Portugal, and we offer several undergraduate and graduate programs, also lifelong learning study program, all set based on the e-learning mode. The university includes around 7,000 students and shaped in 4 departments. Also, we have around 350 academic and non-academic staff. And already, as explained by the George, the structure of the university was fully different, so our experiences are also different. I don't want to say the most difficult category. I would say the most challenging categories for us was the food, because is based on the distance learning university. There is no canteen in our university, and it was a good opportunity for us to know for the next year we need to emphasize more on tier 2 for data collection. And regarding the easiest category, I can mention again to the mobility, because the data for the mobility is specifically for the consumption of the food and also the invoices already registers very well in our systems. And in overall, if I want to say that Alberta already surprised by data collection or not, I can say we expected to collect the data in a very good time management and also in a very well process, because Alberta has the experience for data collection for other systems, for the time higher education, for the STARS, and this experience will help us a lot to cope with this challenge. And on the other hand, the availability of the Sustainability Campus Office in our university was a very good opportunity for us to tackle with this problem. And for us, more than a challenge, it was a nice participatory journey and also a nice contribution on the SDG number 17 partnership. Thank you so much. I'm going to take the floor to the Sarah for continue.
Thank you. Good morning to all. I'm representing the University of Aveiro, and from our university, which is in Portugal, which is a quite young university, 58 years old. We have more than 50,000 students, around 1,000 professors, 500 researchers, and almost 1,000 staff as well. We operate around 16 academic departments and 4 polytechnical schools that we also incorporate in the university in 3 different cities. So the process that we took to collect the data, it was through the contact with the rectorship. We contact the vice rector for the policies of culture and life on campus, and she supported the whole process of articulating different departments, different offices, from the financial services, from the social services, administrative management. So data is very dispersed across different offices. We share these among all the 4 universities. And so the most challenging process was to try to find out where this data was, try to compile all the information in a short period of time. We took more or less 2 months, but we also feel that now we need time to digest and to see the data gaps that we need to cover as well. So the most difficult part, and completely different from the other experience, was transportation. So for us, it was really difficult to compile and to analyze all the dispersed information on transportation. And the most easy was waste management, in fact, and also for the cleaning services that we took from the procurement procedures of the university. And finally, what the most surprising was that the university is already developing a digital platform where it allocates a lot of different data and indicators, facts and figures about the university. And we think that this platform called the Indicator Portal has a huge potential, not only to collect systematized data from the calculator and to the calculator, but also a very important thing that is to communicate the data through the whole university community. So we think this indicator portal can be very helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you to everyone. So I think one maybe element to stress is that, I mean, if you will try yourself using this calculator, the way in which the data is needed in the calculator is sometimes different from the way in which data is collected within universities, because in most cases the collection of data follows some procedures and rules that were put in place not thinking at the monitoring of sustainability, but thinking more at the financial reporting or reimbursement for travels that you do. So there is I mean, something that everyone has experience in applying the calculator in the 4 universities. There is a need to process the data a bit before it can be input into the calculator. Now we would like to have maybe 6 minutes. We want to break at 11:15 shortly for a quick break. But before, there are some questions that are coming up on the chat, and I think I've seen a couple of questions related to the conversion factors that are used to convert, let's say, input data into footprint values. Right now, of course, in the calculator, you cannot see these. In the calculator, you put the data and you see the results. We are working on producing a manual that explains users how to produce, how to use the calculator. And we will also include information on this manual on the sources of data for the conversion from, let's say, input data to footprint values. But just to give a quick answer to those who have asked, there are many different input data, and in many cases, the conversion factors come from a big library that we have at Global Footprint Network on the footprint intensities of different human activities. This is a big database that has been created in the past 15 years. In many cases, when it comes to data about mobility, we use information from IPCC about the emissions that are released per passenger kilometers, depending on the type of vehicles. Of course, we are not able, and we go back to these trade-off elements that we were saying before, to capture, for instance, the different fuel efficiency of vehicles. Imagine when you have to enter information about the kilometers that staff maybe do with their own car in order to go to missions and so on. We cannot ask the specific mileage and fuel efficiency of the car of each individual employees. So we only distinguish right now in the calculator the type of vehicles, whether it is a private car, it is a bus, a train, or a flight, but we assume average efficiencies from the literature. We cannot go in that level of details. I don't know if there are other questions coming up. Yeah, okay. Just. Yeah. Okay, so one question is the extent to which the use of global hectares implies the measure of impact on biodiversity. So maybe just very quickly to say what we are measuring, let's say, with the ecological footprint is the pressure that human activities, in this case, the teaching, administrative, and institutional activities of a university, so the pressure that is placed on ecosystems. And this pressure has clearly an impact on the biodiversity that inhabits this ecosystem, but this impact is not monitored by the ecological footprint methodology. So we are just providing, let's say, a measure of the drivers of pressure on ecosystems, not the consequences of this pressure. So this is, I hope this answer the question. I'm going to check if there is. Yeah, there is one question asking is if flying is incorporated. Yes, flying is incorporated. We will show these also in the results. So after the break, we will see the results of the 4 universities. But in essence, all flights that the staff of the university does, for instance, today, all the 4 universities have traveled to Lisbon. I mean, for this week, we have had a series of meetings. So this type of work-related flights are included in the calculation. So here again, we ask the amount of kilometers over the course of a year that are basically traveled by the different mode of transportation, and flight is one of there. There is a question about the emission factors for electricity, if it is country dependent. This is actually a great question because allows me to clarify one aspect. So right now we are in the promotion, or let's say in the promotion of the tool. We are saying that the tool is applicable to all EU universities, so universities from everywhere in the European Union, not because, let's say, the link doesn't work in Latin America, but because all, in this case, emissions from electricity are country specific. So we do have information about the specific electricity production mix in each country and what is the carbon content of 1 kilowatt hour of electricity in the different countries. So the calculator works everywhere, but the database on which it depends right now has the country specific factors only for the 27 countries that are member of the European Union plus UK, because we started in a time in which EU was 28 and not 27. So UK is included as well. Okay, there is one question about the manual. Who knows? No, okay, the manual will be for sure ready by August, because that's when the project ends. But I guess we will have it before. We are working on it. But I must say that the last couple of months were like very busy to be able to finalize the tool and make it work. So everyone starting from yesterday evening actually can go online and either try the calculator without registration or create your own profile. Don't worry, if you create your own profile, you can delete the profile at any moment, so not a problem. However, be careful that if you delete your profile, of course, you lose all the data that are included in the calculator. So you can use it already now in English. The manual will probably arrive, let's say, realistically in a month and a half, a couple of months from now. It's quite intuitive, I will say, and in many places there are info icons, and you can scroll over the info icon and already see a description of what is being asked. One important thing to say is that the calculator also allows you, once you are inside your dashboard, maybe we can go 1 second on the dashboard. My calculation. So here you see, in this case, these are the calculation of the university, the 4 universities involved in the studies. You see icons next to each row. So basically, by entering here, you can go back to your session. Let's say if you have collected or inputted only part of the data, but you can also download the results. And actually, what you download here is a CSV file that has both your results, and then you can use these results for many uses or purposes inside your university. But the CSV file that you download also include all the input data. And the idea is that this tool can become also a tool for universities to centralize a bit data collection, at least the collection of those data that is related to the ecological footprint. So you can basically download the CSV file with all the input data, and then you can share just the input data again with the various departments that may want to use this information for other sustainability and like rating and scores. Yeah, whenever the manual will be ready, it will be freely available for everyone from the website. And again, the tool is completely free, so everyone can use it. And everyone can have like multiple years and track the footprint of your university over time, as long as you collect all the data. And sorry, another important things to stress is that because we know that different universities have different, let's say, capacity to collect data, or in some university we have learned before, for instance, in Aristotle University, mobility was the easiest because there is a system already in place to collect data, while in Aveiro, the collection of mobility data was the most difficult part. So since we know these differences, the calculator allows you to obtain results even if you have just data for 2 or 3 section of the calculator, even just for one. So it has really been created so that for your own university, you can start a first assessment even if you don't have all the data. And over time, you can both interpret the results and also work on improving the data collection process. And we will touch on this aspect when we come back from the break. I think we probably are going to break for 10 minutes. One thing that I need to stress before I give the floor to Sandra, and I'm getting tips by mobile, is that of course your data are not, let's say, in danger, or they are not becoming publicly visible to everyone. When you set your own profile, you are the only one, unless you share your login credentials with everyone, but that's another problem. But once you have created your profile, you are the one inputting the data, and you are the only one who can see these data and who can then see the results, which you can export. So there is no risk that maybe confidential data, like the amount of fundings that are received by universities, are, let's say, spread over the web. So this is, let's say, the ownership of data remains with you, and they are not visible by anyone else. Sandra.
Okay, thank you so much. This is so many questions that are coming, but we need now to do a short break of 10 minutes. But just before the break, and for in particular for the people that are online, it's good not only to look at the mirror, as Dr. Giorgio said, but also to do some exercise. So we'll do just a very short moment of exercise before going for the break. So I call my colleague George to have some exercises for us, please.
Now we will be seeing the results of the calculator for the 4 universities, and also to look a bit about the recommendations and how the universities can, after being aware of their footprint, then how can they start behaving better. So we will have Alessandro speaking about our first results, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marta. Okay, this I can remove. Okay. So first of all, before I go to the results, just a couple of quick mentions from the questions we read from the previous sections. One is about the process and the length, how long it took. I think you will see that once you are in the calculator, it takes probably half an hour to, let's say, half an hour to an hour to input the data, and you automatically obtain the results. Actually, you see results sections by sections as you enter the data. So it's a progressive tool and dynamic tool. The data collection process, it really depends on the university, and in our cases it was 2 to 4 months, 2 to 3 months, let's say, depending on the cases. So really the most time is requested for data collection. I also want to say that many of you ask questions about like the specific conversion factors and so on, but here we want to stress the fact that we are providing a tool that provides a non-financial value to assess the sustainability of institutions, of higher education institutions. So I think this is quite important to be stressed. And of course, at the same time, the conversion factors need to be correct. And there is also the possibility to capture in the tool the eventual self-production of electricity in renewable manners within universities. So in case your university is able to produce, I don't know, 15–20% of its electricity consumption on site, this can be captured by the calculator and therefore discounted from your footprint. Now, going into the results, first of all, a recap. So for the 4 universities, you see that we have investigated the collection of data for 2 years, 2019 and 2020. This is what has been done for almost all of the universities, of the 4 universities involved. Most universities will say for the areas that are under the direct responsibility of the administration managed to collect the biggest part, let's say the most of the data, although we see that waste is a common data gap for both Aberta University and the University of Siena, for instance, and then a bigger university as the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki had let's say some other data gaps, but at the same time is the only university that started to look at the data collection for the indirect responsibility. So using tier 2, which is true collected data, rather than tier 1, which is a sort of default assessment that is conducted by the calculator only on the basis of the number of students and the number of staff, and a series of national specific conversion factors. So the results. So this is, we are not going through the results of all the universities yet. So this is not meant to analyze results in details, but mostly to let you understand the type of information that can be extracted out of the calculator. So this is the case of the Aristotle University, but I mean, for any university, we see first what is a series of results indicating the total footprint of the university. So in this case, in 2019, for Aristotle University was like 48,000 global hectares. And then there are some indicators, if you want, that can be derived in order to compare this value over time, for instance, which is, I'm just making an example, how many global hectares are needed to obtain a graduation, so per student graduated, and this is a sort of efficiency in the teaching activities, if you want, and at the same time there is the footprint per publication, which can be a sort of efficiency in the, let's say, in the research activities that are being conducted by the university, and this can be monitored, we say, over time. Then when we look at the composition of these 48,000 global hectares, we see that 16% of this footprint is due, it falls within the area of direct responsibility of the administration, with the biggest component in the case of Aristotle University being related to the use of energy within the campuses. At the same time, we see also that the indirect responsibility is a big part, 84% of the total footprint, with huge, let's say, contribution or influence to the total footprint due to the commuting of students and staff from home to the university. This situation is slightly different when we look at the University of Aberta, Aberta University, for instance, and here the situation, you see also a very small commuting because Aberta is a long distance university. There is also, in this case, very reduced amount of energy, this yellow part, but an increased amount of staff time and also waste production. So the situation is quite different from the previous university due to the nature of a long distance university. The same information we have for the University of Siena. So in here, you see that food starts to be included and seen because the University of Siena, the previous two universities did not collect data about food yet. And in the specific case of Aberta, because there are no cafeteria being a long distance university, so that component doesn't apply to them. We see that the three, let's say, the three components aside staff are energy use inside the buildings, the food provided in the canteens, and the mobility. This is like the mobility related to activities, research, teaching, and administrative activities, while this part here is the commuting that is under the responsibility of the individuals, staff, and students. I'm taking this case also to show, let's say, a second set of results that is provided by the calculator. So whenever you have like this first level of results, and you see, the contribution of direct and indirect, you can then go into the details of each one of the two. So now we are going to the details of the direct. So here what we see is like how much staff time, energy use, food, mobility, materials and equipments contribute, but also on which ecosystem types they place most, these anthropic pressure. So in this case, we see that most of the pressure is placed on the carbon sequestration capacities of ecosystems, but there is also a direct demand for cropland and grazing lands, for instance, in this case, to produce food. In the case of Aveiro University, this is where we have seen, let's say, the highest balance between direct and indirect responsibility. Again, so in this case, we see mobility is a very small component, but big component is energy use and food. And again, I take these as an example to show another detailed graph. For each of these categories, we have detailed results that analyze, in this case, the mobility footprint, how much is due to, let's say, movement with private cars, in this case are diesel operated and cars non-directly owned by the university. And then there is train, buses, and flights. To conclude, because I'm given sign that I have 1 minute, just to show these are the results we have put together for the 4 universities. And here you can see that it is possible to extract results and to use these results to compare let's say the performance, if you want, of your university over time. So here, for instance, we see over time a decrease in the ecological footprint per student being taught in most of the universities, except for Aberta, and this is because of the long distance nature of the university. But what we want to stress from this is actually to encourage all of you, in case you are interested in using this calculator, to then share the results of the calculator with us so that we can start compiling also a database of the performances of the different universities. And maybe like use the identification of common problems also to find common solutions to some of the drivers of the ecological footprint within institutions. So with this, I conclude and I give the floor to Sarah so we can see some of these solutions.
Well, good morning, everyone. So I will just briefly try to discuss with you some of our reflections on how to reduce the footprint of the 4 universities or of any university that applies the calculator. And so our aim is not just to bring specific recommendations, because of course that will depend on the context of each university, but just to gather mainly the learnings that we gather so far from this process in the project. Ale, you can. So as already Alessandro started to say in the beginning of the session, I think the tool is a very important opportunity from not knowing or not having the capacity to understand the impact of the university's activities on ecosystems, on natural resources, to know and to have the capacity. Can you please change? I would only ask people to turn off their micro, please. And I will go on. So this is an opportunity to assess, to have a preliminary understanding of our impact, although, as we stressed before also, we cannot have data for all the categories. We can start gathering this data, we can start assessing these impacts on the calculator. And knowing the impacts, it allows us to prioritize and to have an idea of which areas have more impact, and so which areas should we target first, and should we develop recommendations to decrease the footprint. And of course, it allows us to act. And of course, if we act, we can therefore monitor our impacts, and we are in the loop of knowing. So we have the capacity to see the changes over time and to assess the impact of those changes over time. So because the project developed this calculator and we try to assess the footprint of these 4 universities, we want to share with you the first challenges we have to reduce the calculator, or to reduce the footprint, or to know how to reduce the footprint that is collected to the recommendations from the challenges we got from the data collection process. So mainly, the most recommendations that we can share to you. The first one is that it's really important, and we realize that in our universities, to have an office that is responsible for gathering these data. If you have a sustainability office in the university, an environmental management office, it is really important to centralize or to have a central responsibility of this data gathering. But of course, to involve all the other departments, to involve all the other services, to share this responsibility and to, of course, have a capacity to assess, to map all our needs, all our gaps, the data that we don't have, the data that we need to gather in a different way, how to collect this. It's also a very important process that also helps universities for this calculator, but I'm sure for all the other ranking systems they usually apply for. And finally, we also see that the use of the calculator, it allows a platform to systematize, to collect together, to have the capacity to combine all the data together and to allow an analysis through time, to do a long-term analysis. So, of course, these challenges were the first ones that we had to deal with, and I'm sure that it will be the first ones that you will have to deal with while trying to use our calculator. So, and then we realize, trying to use the results of the 4 universities together, the priority areas that were having more impact. And we could, as Alessandro already presented to us, we could emphasize 3 main areas. Food is one of the concerns of most of the universities. The energy use is common in all the 4, and the commuting part, the indirect part that I already saw that we have some questions on that we will try to explain exactly what the commuting implies. It's the travels of students, staff to go to work, to go to the university and coming back. For instance, in this part, in the indirect responsibility of commuting. So if we know that these are for the 3 main areas where if we tackle those areas, we will be most effective reducing the footprint, we can try to discuss with you and bring some strategies, some recommendations to decrease this impact. And it's also very important if we look at food, for instance, to see that the recommendations are also very much linked to maybe all the SDGs, all the Sustainable Development Goals of Agenda 2030. But I can emphasize for each of the category we are discussing 3 SDGs that are critical, for instance, for food. One of them is that if universities start to buy more local food, start to try to have more organic food in their menus, of course, they are tackling SDG 2 and they are contributing to reduce their footprint. Also, SDG 12 and universities have here a huge role to do in the procurement processes, if they are public, if they are private, how they contract other services, how can they reduce and try to create different conditions for the companies to have more sustainable food systems. And of course, if you provide a more diverse diets, and if you also try to have menus that are more environmentally friendly, I'm sure you also universities also tackle the good life and well-being part. So some of the recommendations can mix and we can understand the link between the ecological footprint and all the SDGs together. Regarding energy, of course, some of the SDGs that we discuss here and the recommendations we can discuss with you are somehow common sense among all the efforts that countries, institutions, companies are doing to decarbonize, to have a less impact on energy use. And we can emphasize the use of renewable energies. Thank you, Ali. The use of renewable energies, investing in the production of these renewable energies in institutions like solar panels, biomass, or other more clean energies. And of course, the SDG 13, it's very important when universities start embracing decarbonization roadmaps with clear targets on how to reduce their carbon emissions. And SDG 11, of course, it's also important to stress that we have the opportunity now to be involved in local community energies. It is a possibility that also connects the university with their surrounding community on how they can produce together more clean energy and contribute to reduce the footprint of universities and their communities. Finally, for the commuting part, so this is the indirect responsibility of the universities. How can universities influence their students, their staff, their professors to commute differently, to commute in a more sustainable way? So they can try to also deliver on SDG 11, how can they provide or support the use of public transportation in their commuting? How can they also link with the municipalities, with the regions they are influencing this commuting? And of course, how they can provide innovation, new infrastructures, new way of doing a more sustainable and green mobility. Of course, this tackles again SDG 13 and the use of bicycles or other smooth mobility options are also very much one of the options that universities can try to promote. So just to finalize, to act, we go again to the start of the looping. We need to know. So we invite you to start your data gathering to assess the footprint of the university and try to find out then what can we do all together to reduce the impacts and try to understand what the results can do for our university strategies altogether. And one important, very important thing that this is also common to all is that we need to communicate. These results cannot stay only within departments and the technical services. They need to be communicated to all the university community, so all are part of the change. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you, and thank you for the questions. I was too strict about the time, so I was not checking all the questions. Now we will. We have a Slido on. If you can just go to slido.com with this code and answer to small questions about your experience and your institution. Coming on the screen. I think that from the experience of this project and all the universities that are partners, we know that they are all different, and we know that compare them, as we saw all this morning, is different. But if we have enough data, right? If we have enough numbers, then people will be more aware, institutions will be more aware, and having more information means a different behavior and different strategies. And I think that can help everyone. So we are seeing the answers on the screen. So the first question is, has your university ever conducted an ecological footprint assessment? And we are almost even, right? Yes and no, or I don't know. That can be also an option. So, the code is 391200 for the Slido. Is another way of being more interactive, right? So we are just checking your replies here, waiting. We have 37 replies, answers. Yes, yeah.
Okay. While you answer to Slido, I just take the chance to answer a couple of questions that have been asked. So clarification about what is in the indirect responsibility of the university. So in here, okay, just 1 second, that I am receiving signs that I was not sharing the right screen. Okay. So there was one question to clarify what is considered under the indirect responsibility of the university. So we consider 3 main areas of, let's say, activities that contribute to the footprint. One is commuting, Sarah mentioned before. So it's basically how staff and students go from home to work. It's not like travel related to study, to missions. I don't know if you go on a field trip to collect data. That is part of the mobility under the direct responsibility of the university, because the university has rule and can basically recommend or even impose to their staff to travel by train or to avoid stopover or to prefer, avoid the private car. So this is like the missions related to the university are in the direct part. So here in the indirect, we consider the commuting, how we go as students and staff to the university. And this is where the university, for instance, can indirectly influence this area, for instance, by having an agreement with the public transportation system and have like discounted rate for the use of public transportation system for the staff, for students. The second area of indirect responsibility is the energy use at home for, of course, for teaching or studying purposes. In the case of a long distance university, this is quite clear because all of the teaching is done online. But this has been also the case for many of the traditional universities that over the past 2 years have been forced to conduct their teaching in an online mode and not face-to-face. And the third area that is under the indirect responsibility, we have included the food, again, that is consumed during the work hour by the staff and the students. So these are the three areas that we track under indirect responsibility. There was one question about the Erasmus students. We take the point of view of the university being, let's say, the consumer, let's say. And so in this case, we are considering the Erasmus students, but we are only considering the incoming students. So if the subject, for instance, is the Aveiro University, so we consider the travel of all the Erasmus students that come to visit the University of Aveiro, and we do not consider the footprint, the travel of the students of the University of Aveiro that goes somewhere else, because they are counted in the footprint of the other university, so to avoid double counting. Meanwhile, I see that we have launched the second question, which is like, do you want to narrate it or should I?
Sustainability office, as we said here, to collecting the data, to have some responsibility that is assured for a certain office. And even if we only have 30 answers, then yes is winning. So I think we are in the right path. At least we have we have an office where to go if we want to collect the data, and an office that knows about sustainability. So it's a good news for us, at least from our experience. Let's see increasing.
No, yeah. I just wanted to add that from the previous question, we also had very good positive answers saying that most of the persons that are online, they said yes to the ecological footprint assessment of the universities, which is quite interesting to see this dynamic.
So share the data with us if you are doing it.
Yeah, I think for those who have answered yes to the previous question, as a research exercise, it will be great if you could try to use the same data that you have collected to run your own assessment, if you could use them into this online tool and start to compare. Because one of the points we were making at the start of this event with Serena is that when we looked at previous attempts to calculate the ecological footprint of universities in the past 15 years, we have seen that maybe 90% of the previous exercise have considered mobility. 80% have considered energy use within the university, but only less than 50% of the attempts have included food consumption. So the idea of the tool is to really offer a way to make coherent and comparable the assessment across time and also in between universities, if you want. So it would be good to see what differences you get from using the calculator compared to your own assessment of the footprint of your university. So in case you do that, please get in contact with us. I mean, in our in the project website, EUSTEPs.eu is full of places where we say, contact us, contact us, contact us. So you should easily see it, and I mean, feel free to reach out to us.
Also, I think that we could connect these values of the footprint with the practices that sometimes they are not as announced as best practices, but they can be shared between universities, and everyone can see what is going better or worse, and what is the result of that. The third questions that we suggest is, does your university have a best practice you would like to share? So what will pop up now is a kind of a word cloud. So let's wait for the replies. Maybe it takes more time because people has to write. So bike sharing is the first one. So concerning mobility, right? And what was one of the examples that was given here as a recommendation. Coalition of the willing, conservation hierarchy. So I don't know if you want to answer another question when we see the words popping up. Student initiatives on biodiversity, teleworking. Yeah, smart campus cloud network, waste symbiosis, no plastic, green office. Wow, good, good. Refrain, reduce, restore, renew. Consumer habit questionnaire for staff and students. That is good to collect data also, so it's a very good practice. Test bikes for staff, accessible transport options, participatory processes, urban gardening projects, awareness spread. Okay.
Can I add some words on these words? Is that it's quite interesting because most of them relate to mobility and transport options, to waste, which is a challenging dimension of the footprint, and also to food, some less frequent to food, which is quite interesting because food was in fact one of the most important dimensions. So it's quite interesting to see the mobility part here, and the offices and teams, coalitions that are also with
environmental coordinators.
Interesting to share. Thank you very much for sharing this.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move to the next session, because we are, of course, late. I just want to answer one question because I see here like a challenging one, because several have asked whether we have compared the footprint calculated by us with the one calculated by Wackernagel. Serena and myself work at Global Footprint Network, which is the NGO led by Mathis Wackernagel. So this is, let's say, his footprint, our footprint, and this is basically, I would say, 100% consistent with what he does. So it's basically him and us that have developed this tool. So at least on this, we should be fully, let's say, coherent on this. And maybe it was our fault that we didn't introduce us at the beginning of the session. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone here and at home. Thank you for sharing with us this all your testimonies on the strategy and on the other replies to the questions, and we will move on to the next session. Thank you. And don't forget to share the results with us.
Okay, we are ready for the almost final session. This is Federico Pulselli from the University of Siena, one of the members, the partner of the EUSTEP project. Before starting, I would like to highlight the fact that the project has been carried out thanks to beautiful and fruitful collaboration among the partners of this project, combining experiences and competencies. And under this viewpoint, I'm pleased to introduce this session during which we will present a brand new output, slightly different from that we have just seen now. And this new output has been produced taking especially advantage of the experience and the competencies of Universidade Aberta. So in the sense, I'm pleased to introduce the EUSTEP Mooc on sustainability and ecological footprint, and Professor Paola Nicolau from Universidade Aberta to present the structure of this part of the project that is still under construction and will be available in a few weeks, months, soon. Anyway, please.
Is it okay? Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Federico. So yes, we are on the last session, and it should be, I think, quite short and round up all what we've been talking about. And yes, I'll be presenting to you the output, the last but not the least, the output, the Mooc output of the EUSTEPs project, which was which focus on sustainability and ecological footprint from theory to practice. Now, as I suppose most of you must have heard, Moocs are online free courses which are open to everyone and offer quality university level learning experiences. And the acronym is Mooc. So Mooc is, even though it has this easy way of shortening it up, there is quite a variety in the Moocs. So Moocs are courses, and being courses, they are courses online, and they are developed and certified by higher education institutions. They are online, so they must have, and they are delivered through the web, involving a virtual learning platform or virtual learning environment, usually quality e-learning platforms. These 2 points, the course and the by the universities and the platforms already in themselves, they cover quite a lot of differences, because different universities have different pedagogical models and different platforms have different e-learning tools. They have different approaches to e-learning. So the combination of these 2 points makes already quite a lot of variation in the MOOC that are produced. They are open. So if they are open to anyone. They are free of access. No fees are paid. They are also open most of the time from the moment they are displayed on the learning platform till the end of the platform, even though there might be differences also depending on the higher education institutions. Some of them, they have them open only for shorter times, for the time for the start date till the end date, or from the start date till the end of the platform, or well, depends. And they are massive because they cover quite a lot of students, much more than the normal courses have. But they go from just a few hundred students to several thousand participants. So this factor also influences on the type of courses that we have, because we need to have, we design the courses to have a good experience and a fruitful experience and effective in the learning of the concepts that we want to give. Right, but in any way, MOOCs give access to higher education for everyone in a variety, in a huge diversity of scientific and all areas of knowledge, and they are offered by higher education institutions all over the world. And in this sense, they contribute to the Sustainable Development Goal 4, opening up to quality education, mainly in the target 4.7 with sustainable, equitable education. Right, so going back to what I was saying earlier on, and because I'm going to talk about the MOOC that we have been developing and that we are going to present soon in a few weeks. The pedagogical model that we are using, they can be different, but the one that we use here at the Universidade Aberta has a virtual pedagogical model for all e-learning courses. And the main pillars that we stress on are the fact that the courses are centered on the learner. So it's the learner that it falls on the learner the power to understand, to develop the competencies which are able, and this is able to happen because the courses are designed by a group of teachers and IT technologies that allows it. They are flexible because they are flexible of anyone can access from anywhere around the world, anywhere, any time of the day. They are flexible and they have a strong the model. So you can have interaction when you're studying. You interact with the materials, you interact with the tutor, you interact with with your teacher, and you interact with the students, with your partners, with the participants of the course. And all of that is considered and is developed within the pedagogical model of the MOOCs, of the online courses and of the MOOCs of the Universidade Aberta, and naturally also including the digital inclusion. Right, so where do you find these courses? For now, it's going to be developed in the Aula Aberta. It's our platform for MOOCs at the Universidade Aberta. And we designed it after this fruitful project, which started in 2019, where we developed several different modules or courses, both online and face-to-face. So these are the main modules: the sustainability module for students, sustainability module and ecological footprint for educators. The last one was developed some time ago well, a few months ago, for administrative staff modules as well, and also the footprint calculator. So based on all this experience, we designed our MOOC. Its language is going to be the common language English, although the materials are going to be available in all 4 languages, so English, Portuguese, Italian, and Greek, in the platform, right, which will have this look initially. And the pilot phase will be in May-June 2022. So soon there will be some more information for you to enroll and try the course, because any course is knowledge, and as has been stressed quite enough by our partners, knowledge is important to change attitudes and to have to go to the path of a more sustainable world, and in this case the institutions that we're talking about, universities. The course itself, called Sustainability and Ecological Footprint from Theory to Practice, because it develops both the theory, the main concepts, but it also the participants will be able, and that's a part of the learning process, they have to practice, they have to apply the knowledge that they are getting to, and apply it to the ecological footprint, both in individual and collaborative work. So it's got 6 topics for 6 weeks, so each topic a week. Number of ECTSs is 2 ECTSs, and students will be, or participants will be, engaged from 7 till 9 hours per week, both in self-study for learning contents, participation in individual and collective activities. Our target audience, based on our experience and the 3 years of the project, we designed the module, the MOOC, for students, targeting students, educators, administrative staff, and also public in general, so anyone who might be interested in developing these competencies. And the main topics that we have are, well, the theoretical concepts of sustainability and SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and their link to our daily life, the basics of ecological footprints, and also their link with sustainability, assessing the impact of individuals on the planet and find solutions, which we've been talking about earlier. And a final aspect, or the final topics, will be relating to the aspects of sustainability at higher education institutions and the assessment tools that exist or can be developed for that. The 6 topics are here. So they are sequential topics, topic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, each one of them for a different week, but they are grouped in groups of 2. So for the first 2, we have first the concepts, the theory, introduction to ecological overshoot and sustainability and SDGs. And then on the second week, a practical exercise where people have to reflect on what they have learned before, and they will have to apply it with an activity, which can be individual or group activity, connecting the SDGs that they have learned to their daily life, and in that way being more aware, being more sensitive to these topics, and being able to change whatever they have to change in their lives to be more sustainable. The second 2 groups are related more to ecological footprint. So we give them an introduction of what ecological footprint is, and then on the second week of that group of 2, they will have to try the ecological footprint through the network, reflect on it, and try to improve on whatever they can do and make their lives more sustainable. Their lives, both in their daily lives and also at their universities or the institutions where they are, which is the last 2 groups of topics. So first, the theoretical part in HIE, so sustainability aspects and assessment tools. And the last week of the course, which is best practices, so people will have, again, to reflect on what they have learned and find solutions to improve their sustainability at the workplace. So first, the first three topics with the learning content, and the second topics for the activities individual and collective. In terms of the structure of the course, they always have areas for communication. So new forums where all the information, all the guidelines for studying and for the e-activities will be set for the participants, and also a general forum for questions where anyone can interact and participate with queries, with doubts, communicating with their with other student colleagues or with the tutors, and also sharing the results of their practice on the 2nd, 4th, and 6th week. For each topic, the general structure will be so a presentation and guidance with the guidelines for their study, lesson topics, and the lesson topics include a variety of materials from from reading materials to videos to interactive videos to PowerPoints, specific PowerPoints for each of these sessions. And then the second part with the activities, with instructions and the forum where they can share and discuss their results. Right, so I think I'm nearly finished. I'm finished. So the idea of the MOOC, again, is to round up all the information that we have been getting from the project, which is in this case more applied to the universities, but I mean, universities are made up of individuals, and develop knowledge and try to use it in a collaborative way, because MOOCs can have a part of individual work, but also a part of collaborative work to get the results, try to implement the solutions that they reach at the end. Now, so what I have here is the page where if you wish to participate and enroll in the first pilot, where you can register. For now, you may register at the newsletter subscription, and then later on, as soon as the courses, as we have the final date for the first pilot, you'll receive the information directly on your email, or you can also do it in otherwise, because you will be receiving soon, next week possibly, a short quiz for feedback relating to the event today, and where you will be asked if, based on the event, you would like to participate in the upcoming MOOC on sustainability, ecological footprint, and if yes, you can also register your email here, and we'll send you all the information when it starts. I think that is all, and thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Paula. At the moment, I don't have any question in my chat. Do you have someone? Okay. So I think that I can declare also this session closed, and I leave the floor to Sandra Caero for the final remarks. And thank you very much.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank all the keynotes and the speakers and all the team for having this event, and the partners of this great project, I guess, and all the participants online. We have a large participation, and now we'd like everyone and we encourage to use the calculator, to use educative materials we have developed so far, and of course enroll the MOOC when available, because the main idea of this project is turn all the materials and all the tools and what we've done so far as an open education resources, as a free available tool. This is the main also issue of this project, of course, as the main goal of enhanced evaluate, continue the good work universities can do towards sustainability, and try to have our role as higher education institutions to decrease the footprint we could or should not have on the planet. And thanks again all for your attention and being present here face to face and online, and see you in EUSTEPs website or wherever.